What if you woke up tomorrow and your phone was a brick? Your car wouldn't start. The hospital down the street lost power permanently. Not for a day, not for a week, for 2 years. This isn't a dystopian movie plot. Scientists calculated that this was literally hours away from happening on July 23, 2012, and almost nobody noticed. On that day, the sun ejected a cloud of magnetized plasma the size of 10 Earths, traveling at 9 million kilometers per hour. That's fast enough to cross the entire United States in about 2 seconds. It was one of the most powerful solar storms ever recorded, possibly the strongest in 150 years, and it missed our planet by just 9 days. 9 days earlier in Earth's orbit, and it hits us dead center. NASA physicist Daniel Baker later described it as a Katrina-level event for the entire planet. Except Katrina affected one city. This would have affected 8 billion people. 9 days. That's the margin between civilization and collapse. But here's where it gets even wilder, because this already happened. In 1859, a British astronomer named Richard Carrington was quietly sketching sunspots through his telescope when he witnessed something no human being had ever seen before, a blinding white flash erupting from the surface of the sun. He didn't know it yet, but he had just become the first person in history to observe a solar flare with his own eyes. 17 hours later, the storm hit Earth. The aurora borealis, the northern lights, were visible as far south as Cuba and Hawaii. People in the Rocky Mountains woke up at midnight thinking it was dawn. Some of them started making breakfast at midnight. But here's the dark part. The most advanced technology of 1859 was the telegraph, and the storm fried it completely. Telegraph operators reported receiving electric shocks through their equipment. Some machines caught fire. A few operators disconnected their batteries entirely, and the machines still worked, powered purely by the geomagnetic energy pulsing through the air. Now imagine that same storm hitting today, except instead of telegraphs, it's satellites, power grids, the internet, airplanes mid-flight, hospital life support, and every financial system on Earth. In 1859, the most complex technology was a telegraph wire. Today, it's everything. A 2013 report by Lloyd's of London, one of the world's oldest and most respected insurance companies, estimated that a Carrington-level event today would cause between $600 billion and $2.6 trillion in damage in the United States alone. But money is almost the least of it. The storm would induce massive electrical currents in long conductive cables, power lines, pipelines, undersea internet cables running across the ocean floor. Large transformers would overheat and melt. These are enormous machines at the heart of every power grid on the planet. They're custom-built, they weigh hundreds of tons each, and there are only a handful of factories in the entire world capable of producing them. Delivery time for a replacement? Up to 18 months. Without power grids, water treatment stops, fuel pumps stop, refrigeration stops, supply chains collapse within days, the internet goes dark, GPS, which modern shipping, aviation, farming, and even emergency services depend on, simply disappears. A 2008 National Academies of Sciences study estimated that full recovery could take between 4 and 10 years, and during that time, historians and scientists suggest the death toll could reach into the hundreds of millions, not from the storm itself, but from everything that quietly falls apart in its absence. Not from fire, not from flood, from a world that forgot how to function without electricity. So here's the question everyone asks at this point. Are we prepared? The honest answer is barely. NASA operates a solar weather monitoring satellite called Disk Cover, the Deep Space Climate Observatory, positioned about 1.5 million kilometers from Earth at a gravitational sweet spot called Lagrange Point 1. Its entire purpose is to detect incoming solar storms and give us warning before they arrive. How much warning? 15 to 60 minutes. That's it. That is the entire window humanity has to react to a civilization-ending event. 15 to 60 minutes. And in 2019, that satellite's primary instruments went offline for several months. For a period of time, we were essentially flying blind. No early warning system, no alarm, nothing between us and whatever the sun decided to throw at us. Some countries have started taking this seriously. The UK added severe space weather to its National Risk Register back in 2011. The United States passed legislation to harden tower grid infrastructure. But progress is slow, funding is inconsistent, and the vast majority of the world's power infrastructure remains completely unprotected to this day. We have a 60-minute warning system for a threat that could last a decade. Here's what makes this story different from almost every other disaster scenario. There is no villain, no asteroid we can deflect, no country to negotiate with, no virus we can develop a vaccine against. The sun has been doing this for 4.6 billion years. It will keep doing it long after every trace of humanity is gone. The only variable is whether we happen to be in the way and whether we were smart enough to prepare while we still had the time. The 2012 storm missed us, but physicists estimate the probability of a Carrington-level event hitting Earth in any given decade is somewhere between 10 and 12%. That might sound small, but that's roughly the same odds as Russian roulette with an 8-chamber gun, played every 10 years, forever, until it isn't. Next time, we might not get 9 days of grace. We might get 9 minutes. The lights are still on, for now.